Might crack some jokes. Hey, everybody. We are live back on Tech Tuesdays, powered by South Florida Tech Hub, and of course, with the power of the Owwll App, featuring Celsius Beverage, of course, week in and week out. I'm joined by my co-host, Jeffry Ullman.
Did I just in crime?
Yeah. So, Jeffrey, what's going on with South Florida Tech Hub right now? There's a lot of events coming up. It's event season.
A lot of events, but I'm going to talk a little about the Innovate book and then what we have coming up at IT Expo. Did you have anything else you wanted to?
Let's jump right into this Innovate book. First, we got to show everybody the cover. You guys, spent a great deal of time putting this book together, and go right into detail what this is.
Let me give you some backstory. And when I mean backstory, I want to show the back of the book first. So the name of this book is Innovate South Florida, and there's a specific reason why it's called South Florida. Innovate South Florida. About 5 years ago, there was one done for Innovate Miami. That was about 5 or 6 years ago. It's still around. The publisher of this book came to Nikki Caboose, my boss. Hey, Nikki, if you're watching. And said, it's time for another version. It's been 5 years, which is a long time in the tech space. And they said, we want to do another Innovate Miami. And Nikki said, no, if you want to use our logo and be involved, we're not going to make it Miami specific, because we are a regional organization and we support the 6 regional counties of South Florida, which not coincidentally are listed on the back of the book, which is Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach.
We're gonna have to look at the book. We're gonna cheat. I was gonna give you a lot of kudos for knowing that.
Oh, Martin. I'm sorry, Miami-Dade, Broward, Martin County, St. Lucie County, and Indian River County. And for those of you in South Florida, Indian River County is pretty far north. It actually goes to the old rural Florida. So Nikki said, if we're going to do this, since we're a regional organization and we support all 6 counties, it has to be Innovate South Florida. So they said, okay, we agree with you. So it is a regional book, focuses on technology and some not related, but related companies to technology. It is now available, and I'm proud to breaking news. We did talk about this book last week, but Ashton did not mention that Owwll is featured in the book.
Hoot, 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 hoot.
Very nice.
There we are.
Very nice 2-page spread in the Innovate South Florida book.
Look at that. My son even made it in the photo because he joined us during the Owwll podcast for an episode. Pretty unique, right?
It's a beautiful book. We got a question. So I do watch all the replays. Actually, I watch them live and the replays. But last week, someone had asked if the book was available. So it's yes and no. The book is actually sold out, but Nikki went back to the publishers and said, we have people that are interested in buying additional books. How would that work? And the good news or bad news is the publisher said, yes, we'll do another run, but it's a minimum order of 300. So the only way we can order extra books is if we get 300 orders. So we'll be taking orders. I think we can reach 300. So we haven't published the URL yet. It'll be a Google form. If you're interested, you can reach out to me on Owwll or LinkedIn. By the way, my office hours are on Owwll are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5 to 6 p.m. I go periodically live as well. I take calls every time I drive. Great use case.
And why should someone call you? Right? Often we see fear making an outbound call to someone on the Owwll app or in general reaching out to you on LinkedIn, on Instagram. But what is the purpose of giving you a ring?
Well, a couple of things. The overall intent for the Owwll app is a networking app to network with like-minded individuals. The other reason, hopefully, they'd be calling about either the Innovate book or South Florida Tech Hub. And thanks for reminding me, my actual day job is Director of Membership. So if you're not a member of Tech Hub, call me on Owwll. And we can talk about the value.
Well, I'm not going to let you sugarcoat that, Jeff.
Okay.
Right. The answer is in this book. How many brands are in the book?
I think about 100 different organizations.
So the answer is, do you know all 100 people in this book? Probably, right?
Most of them, the
Most of them.
majority.
So you have their contact info. So the answer is you want to call Jeffrey because he's well connected. And often he create that ripple impact for your business by connecting the dots, right? Connect you to the right individuals that could support your business and help you grow. And I think often when it comes to the Owwll App, people are missing that opportunity right there. You have Jeffrey sitting there for $1 most of the time.
It's always
saying,
$1.
Give me a ring. And he is one of the most
By the
giving
way, I'm worth
individuals.
$1.
Worth way more than $1 because all it takes is that one intro email.
Correct.
And that person that's running that startup potentially can make a bigger impact because they're connected to the right people and not continuously fighting the DMs on LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok, right? Where they end up getting frustrated. So let's bring in our guest today because this is all about Tech Tuesdays and featuring some of the brightest minds in the tech community in South Florida. So Jeffrey, do the honors.
Before we do that, I want to mention a couple of things. This is IT Expo week. It's a big regional trade show. South Florida Tech Hub is very active. We're going to be, I'm going to be at our booth this tomorrow, Wednesday, 3 to 7, Thursday, 11 to 5. We're in booth 2540. More interestingly, Ajay, we'll do a quick intro, is actually going to be on a panel, and I want you to talk about what your panel is. But one of the things, one of the other things that South Florida Tech Hub has as one of its 4 core pillars is entrepreneurships and startups. Both of them are founders of startups. And Thursday night, we're having our idea showcase, which is a pitch competition. And I'm happy to say through Tech Hub, we were able to get them selected as pitchers. They'll both be speaking. And if
that just sounded wrong. I think we got to rename that.
Yes. And it'll be interesting. And come on out, come by the booth, come by the idea showcase to meet us in person. So enough for me. Dani, why don't you go ahead and do a quick intro? And then Ajay do a quick intro and tell us a little about what your company does, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me here on your show. I'm a big fan of Owwll. I use it often. So a little bit about myself. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a 2-time founder. I started my journey in my early 20s as a founder of a company called Man of the House. And a lot of people argued with me that I had no business being in this space because it was full of men. It was the contracting space. It was renovations and construction. So I was this, 24-year-old girl closing all the deals with construction. So I had a bunch of contractors going to offices and homes, renovating. And that was my journey as my first startup. And then COVID happened. So I had to relocate back to the States. And that's when Walky happened, my second business. And yeah, that's when the journey started.
Well, just to jump ahead a little, I know the backstory of Walky. It's a fascinating story. So you mind sharing how the idea germinated and where the name comes from?
Sure. So Walky started on a walk in my home city in Aventura. I would walk around the Aventura Circle, which is kind of like a 3-mile loop around the golf course. Very beautiful. And I would walk there alone often. And I would notice that the happiest people around me are the people that are walking together. And that's when kind of the idea was formed, where I was like, how do I kind of copy 2 people walking together or more into an app? And then I thought of what kind of space could value that the most. Because if you kind of make it as a general concept, it could be dangerous or random to just meet with random people. But what if you have it in a closed network where people are vetted ahead of time? So that's where colleges came to be.
And that's that's currently, well, let's come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
The target market you're currently focused on is higher ed. Ajay, why don't you do a quick intro and tell us about your company?
Hi, I'm Ajay. Thanks for having me in this show. Excited to be here. Florida is in many ways the first place for me because I came to Florida as a grad student way back. I won't say how long ago.
What school was that?
U of Florida, Gainesville.
That's what I thought. Go Gators.
Yeah, so it's back. Happy to be back here working with Tech Hub South Florida, and all the connections that we have gotten here so far. Coming to what I do, so I'm the founder, co-founder, along with a few other folks who couldn't be here, Brandon and Sunita. What we are doing is essentially providing what I would describe as a connecting tissue between models, and we'll talk about it. Anyone who is in the tech industry these days, they hear things like OpenAI, DeepSeek, Anthropic, and so forth. But that's one side of the equation. More importantly, there are applications that companies have for all kinds of purposes: customer support, developer productivity, even B2C applications. I was chatting with Dani earlier. These applications and the users need to access and connect with the model. So we are kind of the connecting layer between these three.
Just to clarify, when you say models, you mean large language models?
Yes.
For
The
generative or
thank you
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There are models in different domains. These are the what they call LLMs, or going forward SLMs as well, small language models.
This stuff is over our heads. See, like we're still doing pencil and paper, right? We keep
Are
it
you making
we
fun
keep
of
it
me?
very. Oh, we both do. I got it in my own. I got sticky notes. We keep it simple. Well, think about it. What is Owwll? It's keeping it simple. You know, what is Walky? It's keeping it simple. A group of people walking together, right? Now, of course, a lot more. Same with Owwll App as well. But it's really, we're just connecting the dots as well. We're eliminating friction so people could speak one-on-one, right? And she's eliminating friction, so we're not sitting on our couch all the time wishing we could be outside with other colleagues or friends.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. And what our focus is that as that happens, as AI meets human, there are things that companies care about, and things that regulators care about, and the policymakers care about, and most importantly, the people, the IT, and the CIOs, they care about, and they want to make sure that's happening, all the way from compliance to operational and cost. And so
Ajay, I don't mean to interrupt.
that's what we do.
You might want to talk a little closer to the mic.
Oh yeah, sure,
Sorry.
of course, yeah. And we'll get more into it, but as Trust AI, what we do is to essentially give our customers the ability to take what they're doing as POCs, as pilots. There are lots of pilots going on in large companies, startups, mid-sized companies. Everyone is doing some kind of POCs. We give them the tools so that they can take the POCs into production with the peace of mind that.
So let's use a real life example, right? We have two apps right on the table. So kind of give examples of like what you're really saying. A lot of our audience, like everything you just said, is way over everybody's head. Right? Most people, tuning into this live, we just go on the other end of Chat GPT and throw something in there, fix all our grammar, pumps out a nice article for us to publish on social media. But behind the scenes is a lot of your technology, and same thing with our technologies. So kind of explain how we would use your service as an example,
right?
What you could see in the future.
Yeah, sure. So sort of what's happening today versus what we believe will happen tomorrow.
Okay.
Because the world is becoming more and more AI-fied, if I can use that word, right? So today, if you think about what's happening today, all of us are using AI, on a daily basis. I think everyone uses Chat GPT. As individuals, it's okay. But if you do that, let's say even universities, and FAU is one of our customers, and as we speak to them, they're generally speaking concerned about even students or researchers, and same thing in the businesses, what employees, workers, students can do, which is compliant. So, for example, not disclosing personal information. That's a very simple example, right? And I was chatting with Dani, on her platform. Are there needs like that? And she said, yeah, absolutely, Dani, I would love for you to elaborate on that. But we think that that's kind of the starting point. User privacy, kind of hand in hand, that goes security. But more importantly, as you think from the CIO's point of view, there's a longer list of things that they want to make sure are being met as part of being compliant.
No, I completely agree. I feel like if someone ever read what I pump into ChatGPT, they'd be like, oh my God, like this thing knows more than my wife, right? It's absolutely crazy. The things that we give it to say, and we would never want anybody reading what's on there, of course. And it has been leaked. I've seen medical practices, it's been known in the news putting, of course, private information in, and then somehow that gets leaked to a marketing company, and all of a sudden, like, I'm getting ads on Facebook based, like I just went to the doctor. I'm like, why am I getting ads for high blood pressure or cholesterol? Right. Or I'm getting like things in the mail. And it's like the only one that knows that is my doctor. Right. So like, where did the leak occur? It happened somewhere behind the scenes through that portal, of course.
So, Dani, you mentioned this, and I know this is a focus area for Ajay as well. You alluded to that one of your primary target markets that you focus on is the higher ed university market. So talk a little about your focus there and your efforts in that vertical.
Yeah, so I would also love to touch on what Ajay was saying about the safety features of AI.
Go ahead.
So one of the things that Walky brings to the table is that we have the most safety features out of any app right now in the social space. We take accountability for people who meet on our platform. We want to know if two students go on a walk together, that this walk ended safely, and or when students log in with their FIU email or their EDU email, they know that when they invite somebody for a walk, that they're not just hiding behind an anonymous name. They signed in with their profile, their user, right? So how AI can help us, which is what we're integrating to Walky, is that when students want to walk home alone at night, let's say, they can always jump on Walky and they can use our trusted AI bot, which is like the dude, the designated dude that kind of walks with you home. And then when you arrive home, you can say arrived. If you never arrived home, the trusted dude knows that you went from this place to this place and that connection has never happened. That arrival spot never happened, for example. So that's just one of the ways that AI could work well with Walky. And our efforts right now is we don't have Walky available for all campuses nationwide. Walky is available based on where we are boots on the ground. So if we start at FIU and we start at the MMC campus, which is where we're at right now, we're boots on the ground, meeting weekly, introducing students to Walky, building a student ambassador program. And now we have a few other schools in Florida where we have students who are leading the way with Walky at their campuses.
So I'll put words in your mouth.
Yes.
You don't really have, let's say, directly a B2C model, because the students would get the app through the school that vets you and vets the app for the students. So your customers really, correct me if I'm wrong, your customers are the universities.
Yes.
Who then would make your application, your app available to their students. Do I have that right?
Yeah. So we're a B2B platform, B2B2C technically.
Correct.
And the reason being is also Walky is very advantageous for universities, right? We save them millions of dollars a year just by having our platform on their campus. Ask me how, Jeffrey.
How do they make millions?
So they save millions.
Save millions, excuse me.
Save millions of dollars because one of the top 3 reasons students are dropping out of college is because they feel like they don't belong. Right? Students are coming to school and they're bored. They're like, okay, I'm walking past a bunch of students who could potentially be my friend, but everybody is just locked in on their phones, scrolling their life away, right? Headphones in, scrolling instead of looking up and meeting others around you. So students are just leaving. And we know this because we go to campus and students tell us, oh, I dropped out of a college in, upper state Florida. I came to FIU to check it out. How is it here? Different campus, same thing.
And it just takes one relationship to make a difference.
All it takes
right?
is
That's
one.
all it really is. It's like you met your best friend there, and all of a sudden you're able to go to lunch. You're able to go to dinner, right? When we were, when I was in school, it's like you didn't have many responsibilities, right? It was literally go to class, and then the rest of the time you were studying or having fun, right? So often you're not. Yes, there's people who have jobs, right? We know that, there's a sector that has 10 to 20 hours where they're working behind the scenes, but it's not the responsibility of a family, children, like the 9 to 5. And most people want those friendships. And I agree with you, right? It's becoming more difficult for that generation to have those friends because no one's got their head up. No one's going to the bar as much. No one's just like meeting, at these extra curricular activities where you just bump into people naturally because I went into FAU a couple of weeks ago. I took a picture. It's up on our social media. Look at the details of that photo. you will see almost every single person is either on their laptop or on their phone, even during class. I think that's got to be a big change. Like no more phones in the class. Like it's getting ridiculous.
Yes.
And I don't think anything is wrong with them utilizing ChatGPT. I think everyone's cheating right now, but it's like, okay, we know what's happening now. Let's find a solution. You're not going to prevent people from using ChatGPT, and we want them to use ChatGPT.
ChatGPT is great.
Right. So I think it's going to be, technologies like yours and Owwll. Like we're participating where we're putting Owwll in the curriculum because they can't cheat.
Why don't you go ahead and talk about what you have going on? By the way, FIU, for those of you not in the South Florida area, FIU is Florida International University in sunny Miami, Florida. And we're also talking about Florida Atlantic University in sunny Boca Raton. So why don't you talk about
here's
what
my
you have
thing
going on
is
with Florida Atlantic?
You have to keep gaining feedback, because what you think is going to work when you start working with students likely is not going to be the outcome that leads to your success. And I'm sure you would agree with me. You think students are going to be excited about this, then all of a sudden, like, they're not downloading it, right? So what I learned is you have to have a little bit of force. So when we first started, we joined a marketing group, and I'm like, these are marketers. They're going to love Owwll. They're going to want to build features, and we'll become the next hot app like TikTok. Nope, didn't care. I was giving away gift cards saying, just call this expert. And we're talking major CEOs. Like one time we had the CEO of Tint World on there. It's one of the largest franchises in the world. And he was available from 11 to 12. And all these students can call him one-on-one for free, the exact time no one called him. And I'm like, and I was paying them with gift cards. And then we put in a class as kind of like, hey, it's optional. You could use it. Didn't work. So the professor was nice enough to give it one last shot, and we put it part of the curriculum. And when we put it part of the curriculum, and they had to make X amount of calls for the semester, they all did. And we got overwhelming positive feedback. Back. And it was just amazing to see that they were able to talk to these other professionals, and it would lead to internships, career opportunities. And a lot of them switched careers. They realized that they were in a career thinking it was going to be one way, but when they talked to a professional on the other end, like, this is way too salesy. I don't want to be a financial advisor. Right? I thought this was very more analytical. I'm like, no, like, that person talked to me. I'm a financial advisor. So all of a sudden, we started seeing the overwhelming positive feedback. So thankfully he did it again with a larger class. We have about 150 students doing it, but this time we're not allowing them to jam it in the last week of the semester. Now we're saying each month you must call someone and you must fill out a survey. And our goal is to see the success in one classroom and then eventually amplify it towards more classes and then more schools, because we believe that students are missing that communication skill,
the soft
skills. And it's the same with Walky. That's why we complement each other so well. It's like, when people are together, good things happen. That's why everyone is going back to work now, right? You see the stats, like, working from home is not for everybody. Right. If it works for a couple months, but all of a sudden it's like, where are those brainstorming sessions? Where's that just coffee talk? Where's the lunch talk?
It cuts both ways, Jason, because I've noticed ever since, the work from home thing started happening, becoming very popular, a lot of businesses are starting to shut down. Like a lot of startups are not making it. And I really believe it's because people are at home doing their laundry, right? Instead of working. A lot of people are working. They're working from home. And don't get me wrong, but I worked from home for 2 years. And let me tell you, I would be a lot more productive working from the office. Like you were saying, the breakout rooms, the working together. When you have to schedule meetings on Zoom, it's not as exciting to kind of collaborate over Zoom.
It's not. Same with podcasting. Think about it. Like this show right here, like the energy when you get to the office and Jeffrey meets you and starts talking about the show, and everyone watching, there's lights on all of us right now. It's bright, and just like that energy, you can't do that on a Zoom podcast.
And the Celsius,
right? And the seltzers over here, but just like that human component. And then after the show to talk about it, and that's why most podcasts fail as well. Right? It's just everyone's trying to cut corners and make it easier on everyone. But when you make it easier on everyone, you have large failures. Same with apps, actually. So I'd like to kind of chat about this, because you know a lot about this, is like friction. Everyone's like, eliminate all the friction. But sometimes eliminating friction can actually backfire, right? People say that to me all the time, like, hey, Owwll's great, but getting into this app is very hard. I'm like, what was hard? And they're like, I had to put a profile up. I had to add my email. I'm like, I had to put a bio. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, you had to do all that to use the technology so that way people know who you are when you speak with them. I was like, that's the point, right? Like, there's certain things you can't skip over. And sometimes it's hard as a founder. You get that feedback. Like, should I eliminate friction? But then you read a different article that talks about friction is sometimes really good,
Mhm.
right? It's the IKEA effect. Why you walk through IKEA, and by the time you get to the basement, you're not giving up. You're
Mhm.
like, you're there putting all the parts, then you get the item home, you build it, and you're frustrated. But then you love that IKEA piece because you put
You did
put
it.
your hands, and you remember that time you were fighting probably with your significant other walking around IKEA. You're like, I'm not giving up this piece. But the point is, friction is good sometimes, and it's hard for founders to see that. Do you want to talk to friction, I guess, for a tad? Because I know you're just a technology wizard over here. So you're
Friction,
just
as
friction with technology. Like, I think people have that off sometimes. Everyone's trying to eliminate as much friction as they can because we're talking about Zoom is eliminating friction on podcasts, or
right.
like eliminating friction by just having friendships over the phone or FaceTime, where we're like, no, like good friction is meeting in person.
Work for it.
Yeah,
Like,
correct.
go be uncomfortable.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, so actually that's a good point, and I'll actually use the angle that AI, because that's what we are focused on. Could AI be used, and AI innovations could be used to foster or promote human connection? And
Correct.
the answer is absolutely yes. But the other thing I wanted to mention, as I was listening to you, it we work with universities and large companies. That's where we have most focus at the moment. Of course, working with Dani and Walky and so forth. Is the AI adoption is happening everywhere. However, what has been most sort of biggest eye opener for me is what schools are doing, what universities are doing to adopt AI in the curriculum, so that students have the right skills, they are much more marketable, they are much, job prospects increase. And I see that a lot right here, in this town, FAU. I would say among all the other universities we have spoken with, they're probably way up there in terms of the curriculum, undergrad, grad. Plus, of course, there are other many universities in the country. They have adopted AI in research and academia and so forth. That's happening. But I would say so far it has been limited to STEM programs for all the right reasons, right? But the good news is that at least the few discussions I have had, looks like the CIOs, they care much more about how it could be adopted much more widely. So, for example, the teaching assistant for an English course is using, let's say, ChatGPT or AI in general to correct the homework or to help students out, right? So this is, these are some of the things that we are beginning to see what is being done to kind of reduce the
Yeah.
friction, because there's always this, hey, that thing is not good because of reasons A, B, C, D, E, right?
Yeah, and it's great, of course, tasks, and just fixing grammar, right, rewording things. It's amazing, but
Simple things.
there's a huge skill that goes on to like how you're inputting things into it, so that way it really makes things better. Like I just was part of a book that I wrote, and like yes, I could have just said write me 12 pages about my life, Jason Hill, and about Owwll, and it came out okay. But then like the next level is like keep asking and asking and asking to change things to make it better,
Exactly.
and then connecting the bridge sometimes, like your technology's here, and like how to connect those to what you were talking about tissue earlier,
Right.
and that's super important, because you could have all the technology under the sun, but if you don't execute the proper way, it all means nothing, really.
Right. And one last point I would make is that part, like the Zoom example you gave,
Yeah.
technology, still, many of us, they fumble, how do I configure this or that? However, the best part about the AI interfaces we are getting is, plain, simple English. As long as you can speak in English and, of course, going forward, other languages as well, natural languages, you can be an expert at it. So as long as one has that skill, I think the future is good.
So, want to go back to something you mentioned, Dani. Currently, and I'll let you describe it. Are you in beta with Florida International University in production, or what's your current status there? And you are, just to confirm, you're looking to work with other universities as well, correct?
That's correct. So right now we are in beta.
Okay.
We do have some bugs in the app. For those who don't know what a bug means, it just means that there are some, features in the platform that could be working better. So we are in beta as long as the app is not perfect. So we might be in beta for a while,
Which is normal.
but it's working, and students are downloading Walky and are really liking it. So once we start expanding to different universities, which we're looking to roll out 2 or 3 more universities in the next month or two through students who have reached out to us through Instagram asking to pilot Walky on their school. So the way we're offering it is we're letting the students know, hey, your campus that we're opening Walky at is still going to be beta, and students are just going to play around with it until it naturally expands, and then we have thousands of students at your school using it. That's when we can like take off the beta ribbon.
Right.
Right.
So similar question to you, Ajay. I know you alluded to this. You're currently not in beta. You're currently your solution is currently in production at Florida Atlantic University, correct?
Yeah.
We'll
So
talk a little about that.
sure. So I won't get into too much detail, but for last couple of semesters, FAU has been using our software for a few courses that they are offering or have offered, where LLM hands-on lab was part of the curriculum, and so that's among the students, undergrad and grad. And then, of course, beyond that, there's always research projects. The one good thing I learned here, FAU, certainly my understanding is FIU as well, or Florida Atlantic, let me correct myself. A lot of federal projects that they work on,
Right.
So there's an opportunity to apply AI tools into that as these universities are, solving or proposing to solve, and we are being used in some of those.
But you're also interested in, obviously, as a for-profit business as well as Walky, you're interested in looking to work with other universities as well, correct?
Absolutely, as well as the
enterprise customers.
The enterprise customers,
Right.
and that's one of the things that we feel really good about becoming part of. I guess we are the newest member of Tech Hub.
You are
we still
actually
have
the
that-
newest member.
Yay.
Yay!
So
As a matter of fact, we're announcing you as a new member this
all
week.
right. Thank you so much for having us.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. If you become the next member, you get automatically on this show.
There you go.
Reach out to Jeffrey on
well,
the Owwll
you know,
app, and this is a one-time offer. You'll get the next slot. Is that fair, Jeffrey?
That is fair. Since I booked the guests and I'm director of membership, there is a direct correlation. Don't need AI to figure that out. It is a member benefit. So thank you for joining, and thank Dani for joining as well.
And as the newest member, not only I got this opportunity to be here, that's awesome, but also IT Expo, where I'm speaking tomorrow, actually. So really excited about that.
Right. And thank you for the plug, shameless plug. That is one of the additional benefits of joining Tech Hub. Our CEO, Nikki Caboose, hi, Nikki, is very well connected with multiple groups, including IT Expo. And it's through that relationship we were able to get Ajay on a panel. And I will say we didn't make the ultimate selection, but our input certainly helped both of you being in the pitch competition. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Nikki, and thank you.
Before we do our before we call out to our first caller, thank you both for being on the show. You've been great guests, and I knew you were. I'm sure people are going to want to follow up. So I think Walky is pretty clear in terms of your website, but go ahead and why don't you spell out the URL for both of you? And then are you going to make yourself available at any, let's say, particular time with the Owwll app? So why don't you all both talk about best ways for people to follow up and get in touch with you?
Sure. So our website is walkyapp.com. So it's just Walky and then app after it. Walky was taken.
I stand corrected. Sorry.
Walkyapp.com is still good enough though. And then what else? On Owwll, I am available. I usually hop on Owwll almost every day for just like half an hour at a time. I'm very busy now that I'm, boots on the ground with schools, but I do hop on, and then sometimes people will just ask me to hop on. So they'll just send me a request on Owwll and I'll get a push notification. And if I'm available, I'll hop on for the call.
Right. Are you going to have any particular office hours?
I will try to make myself available. Mostly I'm available in the early morning. So like 8 to 9 in the morning, Monday through Friday.
Okay. That's Eastern, by the way.
Eastern.
And you alluded to a very nice feature of Owwll, the flexibility of taking calls when you're ready and when you're available. And it is 24/7. I've talked to people that had some free time on a Sunday, made themselves available, or the best use case is when you're driving, and we do a lot of that in South Florida.
Or when you're looking for someone, like I'm right now on Owwll, I'm looking for college students specifically. So I can just reach out to college students who are not online and ask them to go online. That's how I met one of our student ambassadors at FAU.
Good point.
So good point. You could just search, we have it up on the television, FAU, right? So we have over 150 students that have
I just
downloaded
learned
Owwll.
something new.
So all you gotta do is type in FAU. Obviously, more things come up because FAU is only 3 letters, but you can do Florida Atlantic University, see if that comes up. And the key is just follow everybody. So if you just go down this list and start following, because if you just open up the app, you're leaving it to chance, right? Chance that
Right.
some of these students are available.
Right.
But if you really want to execute the proper way, follow all the FAU students.
Smart.
They become available. Now all of a sudden you take it very serious. You go over here, like, okay, that's someone from the Owwll app that I want to speak to. Give them a ring and form more ambassadors. And I do the same thing. You know, I search for people on the app that I think would be good brand ambassadors based on the details on their profile. I search all the new people and I get notified when they're available, and I call them. They're like, oh my God, the founder's calling me. Like, how is this possible? Like, I just went available for the first time ever. And it was actually like what we did.
Correct.
I followed you, and on my way to work,
I called you.
literally it was like that. Well, I think I might have, okay, then you got to me. But in general, you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, but if you leave it to chance, you're gonna have this much success. But if you take time to research the people you want to talk to, you could have infinity success, because it's not about the quantity of people you speak to, it's the right people. And there's enough people in this app that you could take it for what it is, of course.
So before we make our first call out, why don't you do the same thing, Ajay? Your correct spelling of your URL and when you're going to be available on the Owwll app.
Yeah, sure. So the URL is Trussed AI. That is TRUSSED.ai. Please check us out. Also, the power of Owwll, I am appreciating it more and more. I was actually looking, through that yesterday and today as well. I have set my office hours 4 to 5 Eastern every day. But beyond that, as Dani was saying, just you can tag me, ping me anytime you would like to, and might make myself available. I am normally I'm on the West Coast time zone, but the power of technology, we can be connected instantaneously as long as someone has a question, and we'll make myself available.
I forgot to mention, Ajay flew in all the way from Silicon Valley. Boy, are his arms tired. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. So thanks for coming. Thanks for, that's an old joke. Thanks for coming in. And again, thank you both for being experts of the day today on Tech Tuesday.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, we're gonna call someone and bridge a collaboration on the fly. So we're gonna hit view more, and we're gonna look at who is available on the app right now to speak to. We'll probably call someone that has some calls, because sometimes you call someone that has 0 or 1 calls. They're not really certain how the app works, of course. So we're gonna look for someone in the technology space.
Eric is a nice one.
Eric Allen. Oh, you want to call Eric? He'll motivate you. He's one of our top power users. Eric has 2,311 calls.
Yeah, he's a nice
right. That is how much he is in love with this app. Now, one important thing that I will point out, we had a new release come out where we put call pickup rate. So he only picks up 60% of the time. So that's important. When we make an outbound call to him, there is a chance he might not pick up, but that's okay. But we could see all the different things on his profile that he's interested in networking and collaborating, management, podcasting, recovery tips, which is important on your end, right? He's a substance abuse counselor. And of course, there's a lot of substance abuse in college, of course. And of course, with technology, implemented into, looking at all this, we could find a common denominator, right? Utilizing everything that you're building behind the scenes as well. So we're going to call him for $4 for a 10-minute conversation. It's not per minute. And just like everybody's seeing here, the phone starts ringing outbound. Eric's getting a regular phone call. And we'll just say Owwll app, and we'll not have a phone number. And look at that. Hello, is this Eric Allen?
This is Eric Allen, the one and only.
The one and only is on the mic. Well, Eric Allen, you are on South Florida's Tech Tuesdays, powered by the Owwll app. We have called you. Our guests looked at your profile and said, we want to call that guy. So I said, you are in for a treat. Are you okay being recorded and on the air? Because this is streaming everywhere, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube.
The entire free world.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Jeffrey, why don't you do the honors? Tell Eric who he's speaking with our guests here, and then we're going to try to bridge a collaboration. That is what Owwll is all about. We're not going to ask you to ask them questions. We want to see after this if you guys will have a follow-up call, and there's an opportunity to reconnect, to create some type of ripple. That's the point of these calls.
Okay. I love it.
So EA, thanks for making yourself available to the entire free world. You're lucky today. You're lucky today. We have not one but two founders of interesting but very different companies. I think y'all would agree with that. We have the lovely and beautiful and vivacious. I know you well enough. I think I can say that. Hopefully, if not, then you better call HR. Thanks for laughing. We have Dani Newman. She's here, and also I'd say you're lovely and vivacious too, in a different way. Ajay Danker, and he's also the founder and CEO. So why don't y'all say hello and tell AJ, excuse me, a little about your company, and then go
30 seconds each, because we got the timer and we want to get right to seeing if we can form a collaboration. Go. Elevator pitch.
All right. Hi, Eric. It's Dani. We spoke already through the Owwll app.
Yes. Hi, Dani.
How are you? So really quickly about Walky, we help college students make friends on campus, and we also help colleges save millions of dollars by retaining their students.
People like money. People like saving.
I like that. I have a son in college. He could use this experience for sure.
There you go.
Hi, Eric. I'm Ajay, Trussed AI. We enable companies who are doing anything in AI to be able to adopt AI in production at scale with a peace of mind. So if you're doing anything in AI, we would love to speak to you.
Wow. Are you on the Owwll app, sir?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
I
he
am.
is.
Absolutely.
Go check our Instagram account. They're the flyer on our Instagram page. Both of their names are there. Just type them right into the Owwll app. Follow them. Get that notifications. They don't go available often, 30 minutes at a time, of course. Yeah, you know how to catch them. Got to follow them. So let's start out with Walky, right? You said you have a child, going to school right now. I guess, would it be unique for them to be a beta tester of this unique service?
Absolutely. Right now, my son is at the University of Oregon on a full ride scholarship for academics. I'm super honored and excited about that. So he actually went in his freshman year. After the first quarter, he actually has enough credits to be a sophomore. Nice. So he's looking for he wants to live off campus next year, and currently he lives on campus. So when we talk, I was like, son, how are you gonna do this? He wants to find roommates. So he's having trouble connecting with other people down there that might need to find a roommate.
Boom. Dani, speak to this, because this is all about what your brand represents.
Yes.
Absolutely. We know that there is a problem with students currently connecting, and it's not the students' fault. It's our fault for pushing technology so hard in this new generation, where in reality, the new kids today, the Gen Zers, their mind has been taken right to social media. That's where their attention has been going. So it's easier to just see your online friends and say, I have a lot of friends online. Look, I have 500 followers on Instagram. But when you meet in person, it's like hard to form conversations because you haven't done so in so long. So that's what Walky is trying to solve, and we'll be happy to meet your son, Eric, and see how we can beta test with him.
All righty, I love it. I'm going to get him on the app today. He's not currently on Owwll, but he will be on today.
Well, get him on Owwll, but then of course have him call Dani, and of course, and bridge this relationship. And if his son follows in EA's footsteps, look at this guy. He's got 2,000 plus calls. One of our elite super
networking team.
Yeah, I mean, EA was around during our beta days in Owwll, and he's been huge to our brand, right? He's texted me. I only give my cell phone out to certain people, but he texts me certain bugs that we run into, certain features that we should consider, and he onboards new people. And when he does, he said, Jay, you got to give them a call, right? There's a good community that I think you should have a one-on-one with them through the Owwll app. So I think it's huge to kind of, have a one-on-one with EA afterwards and talk, because sometimes see what happens with Owwll app is like you could start with having one conversation, and then sometimes we totally miss it, like that other opportunity, because we're human. Like we're talking about EA's profession and on substance abuse, but then we forgot to say, hey, EA, you have any children? Right. And all of a sudden it's like, yep, one in school. And then all of a sudden it's like, who knows, EA could be the president of some league in Oregon, and then all of a sudden like he's your in. Right. And I think that's where people miss the point with Owwll. It's like, just be open-minded, open every door, call every person when you're growing your business. Too often people are so close-minded, like, yeah, Owwll's not for me. And I'm like, why? They're like, well, I didn't get enough calls. I'm like, so when you
Call
post
us.
on LinkedIn, do you get a lot? Do you get people to call you when you post on LinkedIn that often? No. I go, but you keep posting. I go, you gotta make it for what it is, a tool in your toolbox. And not everything's a hammer, not everything's a screwdriver. You got to
Right.
use it the right way. And EA, substance abuse. Let's talk about that with colleges, right?
Man.
Major problem, right?
Major problem. Everything is it's about a mindset. So I talk recovery everywhere I go. I've been all over the country, even international with the speaking. Recovery is a mindset. People get that confused. So I'm on a mission, just like the Danny. I'm like Danny's tag team partner indirectly, right? Because I'm teaching people how to connect, how to be, in this new world of order, like how to recover in this new world.
Sure.
It starts in the mind. It starts in your mind, how you think, how you process information. So, Jenny, I'm gonna call you today because I want to get my son connected with you yesterday.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well,
And thank you guys for calling me. I love it. Happy Tuesday.
happy Tuesday. Well, yay. Thanks for joining us on Tech Tuesdays, powered by South Florida Tech Hub. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Take care. Okay. Should we leave him 5-star or 1-star? What do you think, Dan?
I'd
What do you
give him
think?
a 5.
We're going to give him a 5. It's coming from you, Jeffrey. So I got to be careful here.
It's okay. I'm comfortable with a 5.
But how cool is that? Like, it's 11:45 on a Tuesday, and EA is available to speak to.
Mhm.
And like, you just see where the conversation goes, right? And right off the bat, now you have a potential to get someone beta testing your app on the other side of the country, right? And who knows where it will go?
Who knows?
You know, he could be your top beta tester in the future, or download it and never use it. We just never know. But you have to step to the plate and just call someone, right? That's the point.
Before we and if we call out someone else, I wanted to shift gears a little. So, and this is something I typically try to ask of all founders and startups. So y'all are both startups. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think y'all are both interested in potential outside investment. So why don't y'all talk a little about the kinds of investment you might be interested in? Ladies first.
Okay, thank you. So we were able to raise our first round of funding last year in April. We did a friends and family. So let me step back one step. The first thing we did is we bootstrapped the first 2 years with our own funds to get our app to a certain place, because realistically, no one's going to invest in you until you have your app or your product to a certain place. Most people invest in you when you already have sales. So right now we did raise our first round, and we are currently on our second round, which is our seed round. We're looking to secure $750,000. So far, we've raised a 6-figure round. So we do still have some ways
Kudos.
to go. Thank you. So
Kudos.
we do have
Not an easy thing to do.
not
No.
an easy thing, but like Jason says, you got to be forceful sometimes, so you got to let people see the vision, and the ones who don't believe in, the ones who invest because of the sales, okay, they're not ready for you. But there are people out there who see your mission, who are investing in what you're selling. So that's the people I'm looking for right now.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for that. Ajay?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. So we have not raised any institutional funding so far. We have bootstrapped the company. We have revenue, plus we have POs as well. So that's attractive to some investors in terms of the stage. Technology investors, this is really seed deal based on how they think about opportunities such as us. But more importantly, this is in the adoption of AI. That's what we are betting on. And if they're interested in how AI is gonna be adopted en masse, all companies, all shapes and sizes, all industries, regulated or otherwise, that's us.
Got it. So another nice thing is I happen to personally know all the judges at the pitch competition. I'm not going to suggest that who they select, but 2 of them are investors. So if I forget, and I probably will, grab me and say, Jeffrey, you told me you'd introduce me to these 2 investors. I'll be happy to do that for you Thursday night. Another benefit of being a member of Tech Hub. Let me ask a related question. Since we do have a lot of solo entrepreneurs, a lot of founders, I'm assuming maybe founders that aren't as far along as y'all are in raising funds, you'd be happy to talk to and give them ideas about potential fundraising, mentor them as well, correct?
Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Are you willing? Are you willing and able? And I know you are to mentor other founders that maybe aren't as far along as you are in raising funds with ideas on
Oh,
how to.
Absolutely. And actually, I was going to write a quote on Jason's wall where it's pretty much exactly that, right? It's you are a true success when you help others succeed.
Exactly.
So I'm all about that life, helping people, and that's actually what I do with the students as well.
Right.
So,
So I knew that about Dani. So it's kind of I knew that you would be happy to do that. So Ajay as well.
Absolutely. Actually, thanks for the intro. I'm already learning some things from Dani and the drive that they have had so far. Also, in terms of entrepreneurs and founders in this area, one of the things, as I shared with you, Jeffrey, uh, South Florida is looking very promising for us for multiple reasons. Our first university customer is right here. There are lots of companies and tech leaders are here, and most importantly, the Tech Hub connection, it's for keep. So absolutely
Thank you.
looking to
I'll take credit for some of that.
of course, we are looking to make this bond much stronger and long lasting.
So thank you. And that's a testament of South Florida as a region from someone coming from Silicon Valley. We didn't talk a little about some of the other companies you've worked for, because I don't know if people appreciate your experience.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'm as you said earlier, I'm a techie by my profession. Before this, I was at Google Cloud, where I was in cloud networking. Before then, I spent a number of years in AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. Very nerdy things like if anyone knows ELB, Elastic Load Balancing, that's what I did. For techie people, that's very easy to understand. But I have been in the tech roles, leadership roles, engineering, product management for a number of years. Previously, Adobe, PayPal. Had started my career after graduating from Gainesville, Florida.
Go Gators.
Cisco Systems. So, the list goes on and on. But more importantly, the thing that I learned, through all these companies is technology is good. But ultimately, once you're able to make it relatable to your users, your internet users, that's when you succeed.
Exactly.
You are right. The list does go on and on. I had a few more.
Yeah.
I'm on your LinkedIn profile showing
I
everyone
told
on
you.
television.
We
We
only
got
get
even
it.
eBay here, PayPal,
Yes.
Adobe, AWS,
AJ
Google.
may be older than me.
That's a lot of name brands.
Well,
And one day it'll say the biggest brand on their Owwll, right?
Uh-huh.
Once we scale
I
quite
do
large.
get up at 5 a.m. though.
well, so that's the other thing. Ajay is in Silicon Valley. He works all hours. I've called him Eastern time, and it's 6 o'clock in Silicon Valley. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But ready, people need to know that you're available if you want to speak. So I'm going to take a pause right there because that is the power of our technology Owwll, right? Because if you get up at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning and you're just looking to chat with someone like EA, who's very motivational, you call him and you don't need coffee, he will just brighten your day up, right? And he's just so energetic. And if you're in a bad mood, you have a conversation with that guy, you're like, you leave the conversation like, okay, I feel good about life. That was just in my mind. But the problem with society is everything's moved over to messaging, and messaging moved over to like, hey, let's jump on a conversation. Okay, when? Like, I want to do it now. No one wants to wait anymore for tomorrow to get an Uber or a Lyft. Like, no, that technology works because they just come right now. Uber Eats works right now. So phone conversation still in the future with scheduling.
Right.
But if you're up at 4 a.m. and Jeffrey over here can't sleep and he's up in 4 a.m,
That's true.
right? The beauty of it is like,
I was up at 5 o'clock.
you don't know who's going to call you. Like, I drove to work and she called me my work hours. I dropped my kids off at 7:30. And then pretty much like I go available now. I dropped my price to $1. She called me. She saw me available.
It was a good deal.
It was a great deal. And we bridged a good conversation about college campuses and how we could potentially work together. So I will bring up, like, here's your profile right up here. Everybody just click the follow button. If you click the follow button, then you'll get a notification when he's available.
Thank you.
Just a quick personal thing. So when I first started using Owwll, I said, nobody's going to call me when I go available. Not surprisingly, I guess I was surprised. When you make yourself available, you will get calls.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
So the app works. So
It sure
kudos to Jason and Owwll.
It sure does. It sure does. Okay, we're at the final 5-7 minutes of this programming. Anything else we want to chat about with the guests?
This is the sad part of Tech Tuesdays. We're going to have to come to a close.
Oh.
Every week we actually have a box of tissues for Jeff because he gets that
I
upset
do get emotional.
that our producer has him ready behind her desk, and he's like, "Here you go, Jeff. It's okay." Kind of pats him on the back, like, "You'll be back next week. Don't worry.
you.
We'll be ready."
We will be back next week, same time, same bat channel. If you don't get the reference, call me on Al. But one of the things I like to do is what I call go around the horn. So anything that we haven't talked about, or maybe we mentioned that you want to emphasize, here's your chance. So Dani, go ahead.
What would I like to emphasize? So about EA really quickly, one of the reasons why he is so energetic is I think he's a cold plunger, right? He's part of the crowd of cold plunging people like
What is that?
myself. So what that means is one thing I recommend besides going on the Owwll app and talking to people or going for walks, right, to help with connection, is maybe a mood can be changed by, hitting the gym, going in the cold plunge. I think people overlook that. People wake up in the morning and they just rush to their phones, check their social media, drink their coffee, and go to work. You're not going to be in a great mood. You're just not. You're just going to feel stressed and overwhelmed. If you just take the first 2 hours of your morning to yourself, go hit the sauna, go jump in the cold plunge. We're in Miami, okay? In Miami, there's so many places that you can go to these facilities to help start your day. So that's kind of something I wanted to share, that I hit the cold plunge this morning, and that's why I'm so energetic. If I didn't hit the cold plunge, you'd have a completely different day.
You're saying cold,
Yeah, bath.
COLD.
A bucket of ice water.
Okay.
Pour it on
Jump
your
in.
head.
Jump in it. But this comes back to community,
Yes.
right? The point is that there's this cold plunge community that messages each other. There's Facebook groups, and people are in love with it. It's the way they make themselves feel after the plunge, but also just being able to talk to others that are going through the same exact process. So I'm going back to why it's working also is the whole community aspect.
100%.
AJ, parting thoughts.
So, I can speak about AI all in all. Tomorrow's our panel discussion on ethical implications of in Gen AI. If folks are around, please do come to the expo. It's in the Convention Center, Fort Lauderdale. Would love to meet you. Really excited about that the panel discussion. Some folks from local businesses, including the department is there, the ModMed, their CTO
Right.
is there. So excited about that. But I will actually say something much more sort of personal. So your app, of course, Dani, is all about connecting students, campuses. I have two boys. Older one is done with college. He is now, of course, he lives in New York City. He went to NYU. If ever you think about that part, once students graduate from schools, what you're doing, I personally think is applicable even after that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because I see them how they're connecting. And my younger one, he's in Berkeley in the Bay Area. But I see the kinds of things they do, and I think what you're building, what you're doing, is not only noble, but also I think it has longevity and it has applicability even beyond someone graduates from school.
I appreciate that, Ajay. I agree. Today, a lot of the adults, when we lose our job or whatever it is, and then we scramble reaching out to people to help us, give us intros at different places. And, my husband, for example, at one point in our life, he was out of work for a few months, and it was the most stressful few months of our life. And we have connections, and these connections, zero referrals.
And the school connections outlast any other connection.
There you go.
100%. All of a sudden,
Your college buddies, you stay connected for life, really.
Exactly.
So thank you for the parting thoughts. A couple of quick things, and thank you for reminding me. I forgot to mention this. So IT Expo, I'll be in the Tech Hub booth tomorrow, Wednesday, 3 to 7, Thursday, 11 to 5. Ajay's presentation, panel discussion is Wednesday. That's tomorrow, 12 noon to 12:45. Go see him. The Idea Showcase, it's 5 to 7 p.m. Thursday night. And I have a note. You'll see Dani and Ajay pitch. And I have a note here, open free bar.
Ooh.
So for those of you that drink, I don't drink, but it's an open bar. Thank you to our sponsors. So come and meet and see them. I think that's it for today. Thank you, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. See you next week. Have a great day.
Bye.